Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here with session number 3 of a short game. It was originally planned as a trilogy, but we'll have to see how things go. This is All the Little Things, a game that we are running with the household system. It's a beautiful little system that came out last year, earlier this year, is when the Kickstarter fulfilled. And it is a game about tiny people who live in a very large house. Um, so I'm really excited. This is a genre that I have always had kind of a soft spot for. I love the borrowers and the littles whenever I was growing up. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So this is very much something that has always kind of been near and dear to my heart. So I've been having a lot of fun running this game, and largely that has to do with the fantastic players that I have. So in just a moment, I'm going to pass things over to them so that they can introduce themselves, tell you where you may be able to find them, what they have going on all of those beautiful things. But before I do, I'm going to go ahead and give the same warning that I give at the beginning of all of my games, and that is, if mature language and mature subject matter or immature humor are problems for you, then this is probably not a good channel for you to settle on. There are plenty of others out there that you can go and check out with less offensive material. But if those things do not offend, then take a seat, dear Romans. All right, so let's pass things over now and meet our players for this evening. So I'm going to start right over here with my good buddy Jake.
Hey, internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain. And that's where you can usually find me over on the twitch.tv/mini terrain domain, where we typically run a few games during the week. We run our Scribes and Scrolls Pathfinder 2e game on Monday nights, every other Tuesday. Our good friend Vi is a DM for a D&D 5e game, Sky Metal Iron Gods, which is actually a Pathfinder 1 campaign converted to D&D 5e. And we're sort of in between Call of Cthulhu Mythos stuff. And then, of course, our flagship game right now is Welcome to Paradise, Michigan, a Kids on Bikes RPG set in the 1980s, where my players play teenagers and kids. We just wrapped season 1 before the December break, and coming in January, I believe January 11th is when we return. It will be season 2, Welcome to Paradise Academy, where they are students at the local 6 through 12 school, with all kinds of weird stuff still happening. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic, man. Thank you. Speaking of weird things are always happening, next up we have Karen.
Thanks, I guess. I'm Karen, also known as Myth and Gears, and you can find me here and on Mini Terrain Domain. And that's pretty much where I live. So I've got nothing to say except, so glad to be here. So glad we're going to do this again. It's not the last one. Just going to call that right now. And happy holidays, everyone.
Here. Yeah, I'm super excited to get back to this game. Like I said, I love this setting. The system's growing on me. It's interesting, but definitely excited to get back to this story and these characters. So, speaking of excited to be back, next we have Sarah Nelson.
Oh, that's terrible. Um, great to be back. I'm super excited to be back to play with everybody because I'm loving this system enough that I think I have a group that I might be GMing this for. So I'm very excited to give it a try. You can find me on various channels, obviously here. Um, where occasionally you'll see me depending on the game that it is. With Jeremy, sometimes I play with Jake, sometimes you guys are awesome. I love you guys. You can find me on Mini Terrain Domain every other Tuesday once the new year comes around with Sky Metal Iron Gods. And then every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., you can find me on Aesir Sin's channel. That's twitch.tv/AsirSin, where I play Ray Moria, who is a furball Circle of the Wildfire druid. We get into a lot of hijinks. We're called Hijinks for All for a reason. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. And anybody who mentions a channel, you should be able to find the link for that in the description of this video. And if it's not there, then leave a comment and kindly bitch me out and let me know that I need to add that. And I will certainly fix that. Shaky fist. Yes. Speaking of shaky fist, next up is Nathan.
Get off my lawn! I don't know where that came from. Can you hear me? Because my mic's been messing up lately. Good. Perfect. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, shaky fists. I am Dimension 119. You can find that and many other voices randomly as I start streams on my channel on Twitch, Dimension 119. That's also where you can find me on the other socials. I think Twitter has like an underscore between Dimension and 119. It's some other person has a deactivated account of Dimension 119 and I can't get a hold of it yet, but that's work in progress. We'll see what happens. That's the only one I couldn't get without some random character in it, but yeah, playing through Alan Wake 2 on the channel currently when work allows. Also got a what we're calling the bro stream going on where me and a couple of other guys are playing through a game called Eco. Originally we did Baldur's Gate 3, had a lot of fun, so we decided to keep it going. We started a game called Eco now on stream. It's basically your characters start on a fresh planet that has not been touched by human hands at all, and there's a meteorite careening towards the planet, and you have to build a society and research technology in order to stop that meteorite before it hits your planet without doing so much damage to the planet that it's uninhabitable. So that's interesting, and it functions in like real time, not game time. So we started with like 30 days for the meteorite impacted, and we've played I think 2 sessions of around 4 hours. So only 8 hours of our countdown has expired. It's kind of an interesting. It's an interesting game. It's very chill right now. We're still kind of in almost caveman era. We're just now about to get like iron, and that'll be our first metal we get. It's a very interesting chill game, but I imagine once we get like cities built and we're hours away from the meteorite hitting, I imagine a lot more panic will start to set in, I'm sure. But yeah, you can find me there doing all kinds of stuff, and over here on Jeremy's channel when I get asked to be here between this game and the Caldera game we're playing, which both games I just absolutely love, and I'm doing my best without derailing things to make them go longer.
Welcome back, Nathan. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm all for the Caldera game going as long as it needs to. This one, we're close. We're getting close. We'll see about stretching it out. But yes, I'm very, very excited to have you back, man. Okay, last but certainly not least, speaking of excited, my sister, other Sarah.
Yes. Jeremy's youngest sister. I don't stream or really do much role play games, but I'm happy to be here. This is, like Jeremy said, a subject matter that's near and dear to my heart. My mom read to us all the time when we were little, and these little people are like family. So I imagined myself in these worlds all the time. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, Indian in the Cupboard was the other one that I didn't mention. Very much kind of the same premise. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really, really happy to have you back on the channel, Sarah. So thank you for agreeing to play in this game. Okay, I think without further ado, I think we're ready, unless there's any questions or concerns that we need to raise before we get started. Nope. Cool. All right, let's do it. Dearest readers, one of the greatest joys in embarking upon a journey such as ours lies in the absence of knowing what lies beyond the turn of the next page. I must confess that even I am caught by surprise at times by what flows from the tip of this pen. For though it is wielded by my hand, I do not always know which parts deserve more attention than others, before I am driven to ink them upon the page. Why, at times, the passage of months or years might be summed up in nothing more than a mere sentence. Meanwhile, some of the briefest moments are so nuanced and poignant that they may deserve enough adjectives and complicated punctuation to fill more space than a single page could possibly contain. This is the very elastic nature of fables and myths, for they will forever defy any form of restriction we may try to place upon them. We rejoin the five of you in the atrium of the household. These large fields of fungus and molds that kind of stretch in as far as your eyes can see in all directions. Looming overhead, almost like a distant mountain, there is the great staircase, and the town of Downridge. But you now find yourselves crossing the expanse that exists between the bottom of the stairs and the doorway into the study of the house. There, you know, your destination is the town of Doorkeep, a military outpost that you'll briefly stop at as you continue your journey to the town of Bookshire, where you are to attend a wedding. You are currently accompanying one Mr. Osman Brummell, as well as a few other individuals, the five of you, and a rather famous entertainer known as Tatiana Azalea. Tatiana Azalea. You have been traveling now with these people for multiple days. It has been fairly uneventful, but there have certainly been a few things worth writing home about. Lately, you were set upon by a very wicked-looking, battle-scarred rat that had leapt out of you, at you, and almost killed Ronan? Did it almost kill you, Ronan? Yeah.
Took a couple of knocks from it, that's for sure.
Yeah. And strangely enough, this was not the first run-in that Ronan. The first run-in that Ronan has had with this rodent. There you go. For all my alliteration people out there.
Say that 3 times fast.
So you had come across this rodent at one point before, and Ronan, it had escaped, but you left your mark on this creature, and it probably left its mark on you as well. And when you came across this rodent, there was a tracker who had also been tracking this creature. A woman named Lucania Arata. She is I don't remember. Oh, wait. I write these things down. She's a boggart from the Hearth. She kind of dresses in armor made out of the carapace of beetles, and she has this fountain pen punch dagger, kind of like lashed fixed into a bracer on one of her arms, which she apparently uses to fight with. But you have now also crossed paths with this woman, who was tracking this rat, and now stands side to side with you, Ronan, kind of staring down, well, not even down, staring at this massive rat's corpse. She is kind of looking over this large mound of rat flesh, kind of brimming with broken arrows and the hafts of weapons that have been used to fight this thing for years. And she looks at you. She says, are you okay? You look like you were a little more shaken than actually wounded.
Roman looks at her, and he still has his heavy keyskit in his hands, because he reloaded and released a few rounds into the thing at the end of our last session. He is just finishing loading another round as she asks this, and it kind of finishes drawing him out of whatever he was in. And he just looks at her for a minute, keyskit in hand, and then he swings it back around onto his back, and he pulls this this really fancy looking blade, for what he appears to be, in his profession standing, and it has a very distinct carve out in the blade, like right before the handle of the blade, something that it doesn't necessarily make like a worse cut, but it makes whatever scar this blade leaves, if the kill's not made, like discernible. And he starts using this blade to cut off tufts of hair of this rat, as if he's looking for something. And every so often he sees a scar, and he takes his blade and puts it close to the scar and compares it. He appears to be looking for something. He doesn't respond to her question.
I guess so, she says as she kind of like turns to the rest of you. Well, are all you all right? Was anyone hurt?
I believe I was still in the carriage with.
Yeah, y'all in the
Yeah.
carriage kind of took a couple
Yeah.
knocks, kind of were
we're
tossed
kinda-
around inside.
Yeah, very disheveled and stuff. I think I may not know what she's saying out there, but I know for a fact that I'd be trying to pick once this commotion is all done, pick myself up, dust myself off, and I'm looking towards Mr.
Brummell?
Brummell. Yeah, to see if he's okay, because he's our charge.
He definitely seems a little jostled around, and he kind of rights himself from off of the floor and kind of straightens his jacket. Well, I suppose that was a little more excitement than I was prepared for.
Are you okay, sir? And then she'll go over and she's gonna dust his suit off. Gotta make him presentable still. So help him get presentable again.
Oh, yes, thank you. He kind of like brushes off the arms of his coat. Well, seems that I must have chosen our guide well. He kind of seems to try to find some sliver of silver in this latest turn of events.
Shall we find out what it's like outside?
Oh, yes, I suppose, yes, of course.
To say that, you see from on top of the carriage where I had climbed on top through the the door, you see upside down Dr. Meredith's head, peering down inside, looking at those of you inside the carriage. Is everyone all right in here?
Oh,
Things got a bit banged about. Any bruises, cuts, scrapes, anything needing medical attention? Brummell, you seem a bit shaken. Are you wounded?
No, I think I'm completely whole. Tatiana, he turns around and checks on the entertainer, who looks like she probably hit her cheek against one of the walls and has a little bit of kind of coloration, red in the side of her face. But she kind of waves him off. Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's just tossed about as a bit. Is all.
Yeah, and I think eventually we'll get the door open, and as we climb out, maybe this is on the side that Dr. Meredith is like hanging down from. Cassiani will get out and kind of hop down a little bit, and as she does, she'll kind of land and wince because she's a lot more banged up than she thought she was. So
What about the rest of you? Where are you currently at?
I remember I was actively fighting alongside Roden and Dr. Meredith, so I imagine I'm winded. I don't remember taking any actual hits, but I imagine I'm overall just shaken and tired.
Mm-hmm. What is Peaches currently doing?
Oh, probably panicking, like absolutely just flittering around, trying to assess everyone, almost like a dog.
Perfect. And what about Rosalind?
I think Rosalind is because she was also fighting. She was basically right up front with Ronan. And as she's, steadying herself and sheathing her weapon, and she glances at Ronan for a moment, glances at the carriage, and she looks at everyone she watches as she sees Cassiani's out of the carriage. So is Mr. Brummell and the doctor, and she can hear all this buzzing. And I imagine that her gaze kind of hits Peaches, and when Peaches gets to her, she'll just kind of like reach her hand out and very gently just kind of touch Peaches. She doesn't say anything in this moment just because this is what she does. Like, she fights.
All right, then I imagine that this this hunter Lucania will actually probably approach you, Rosalind, as Ronan frantically like shoots this body over and over again, and then is now like has removed his blade and is starting to like take wads of fur off of this creature as he's very frantically like looking over its corpse. She kind of comes over to you and kind of jerks her head somewhat in his direction. What's with your friend?
You watch as she glances at Ronan again, and she sees how he's, his movements are, she can't tell if it's panic or rage or what it is, but she knows it's probably something similar to what she, everybody has felt at one point. Um, but she just kind of shrugs her shoulders and I think we should let him just work through that for a moment. I don't know what it is, but I think we should let him work through it. Were you hunting this thing as well?
It was. And
Mm.
your friend is starting to diminish the value of it. It's not going to be worth nearly as much now if I take it back with all of its fur missing.
Well, hopefully you get something for it at the very least.
Oh yeah. Pretty sure he's been haunting these parts for some time now. You see all
Yes,
these weapons on his back?
I
Look at this.
do.
That's how many times he's escaped death.
What? Are you out here for a bounty or a legend? What are you out here for? Why are you hunting this?
I'm a fur trader.
Ah,
This
okay.
was my latest hunt I was on. I've been looking for this thing for 2 weeks.
With all the damage to the fur, though, to the hide, I should say, isn't that similar to what you're and anyway, with so much damage to it, you'd think the value would still be quite diminished.
Except that this thing is notorious. Somebody is going to want to hang this thing up with all of the damage on it.
Oh, true, true. You could say it has something like mange or something, and that's why the fur is a bit patchy. It's fine.
She kind of tightens up her mouth like she's thinking about it. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Not bad. So what are y'all doing out here? In a carriage? Why are you out here in a carriage?
It was not my idea. I will tell you that. It was not my idea to be out here in a carriage.
Is
No.
it gilded with
Um,
silver?
yes, please stop looking at it unless you're going to help us get it back up right. I'm here for an idiot who's going to marry apparently another idiot. I don't know. We're taking someone to go marry another someone um in the hearth, so
Huh. She says as she kind of like looks over at Ronan, who's still going like Tasmanian devil on this thing's corpse. A wedding. That ought to be interesting.
it should be. It should be. And I think that's when Rosalind kind of like puts her finger one moment. And she pulls out her needle, and with the dull end, I imagine it's with like where the eye is at. She very gently, because she doesn't want to get too close, she very gently like pokes Ronan. Ronan,
As soon as he's poked, he yells at the top of his lungs, "I found it!" Um, and just like collapses back in a sitting position.
what did you find?
This was the rat that nearly took my life years ago.
Okay.
I I vowed I vowed to kill it myself, and someone else has. This may also be the rat that nearly killed my father, where I became guide.
Okay. Um, uh, this lovely young woman here was also hunting it for its hide, and is did you get some of your frustration out? Can we let her have this?
Takes a deep breath and looks at you and looks at the rat. I would prefer to burn. In fact, I had planned.
Oh,
I
your
can't
audio
take another.
cut.
What's that?
As soon as you said, your audio cut out as soon as you said, I had planned.
I had planned to burn whenever I killed it. I will not take another hunter's stick or another hunter's sword.
Yeah, she has kind of like crossed her arms, but is kind of very obviously eavesdropping, like listening. And as soon as Ronan had mentioned something about burning it, she started to like step forward and like put her hand up. But then whenever he changed his answer, she kind of like goes back like half a step and crosses her arms again. Yeah, I'd really appreciate you not burning it.
Rosalind kind of looks at this boggart woman and she goes, May I just take one thing from this?
Sure.
Yeah. And she moves up to the head of this huge rat. She wants to take one of its teeth.
Okay. One of the like front teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're kind of jagged and
I
somewhat
imagine
broken.
it takes a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're sizable. I mean,
This rat's
they're
a big
curved.
boy.
Yeah, they're curved in kind of a gentle curve. But I would imagine that like to your scale, they're probably the length of your arm.
Mm-hmm.
At least the two on the top would be.
Nice. Once she gets that free, she's gonna go to Ronan and she's just gonna kind of drop it in front of him. Maybe
Yeah.
you can do something with that.
Almost like a tusk, almost like would be for us.
I can find use for this.
Oh, it cut out again.
He just says he can find use for this, definitely.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, you can add that to your sheet if you would like, Nathan.
I think
Go ahead.
that's when she would try. Rosalind would nod and then go and start talking about flipping the carriage back over.
Yeah, Mr. Brummell is climbing out and helping Tatiana kind of out of the carriage as well. He kind of is standing back from the carriage just a small ways, kind of hands on his hips, looking at the entire thing. It seems like he's probably trying to formulate a plan, but you can tell that he has no idea what to do. His wings, even though they're kind of like downward along the back of his body, they're kind of buzzing occasionally, kind of vibrating with like nervous anxiety. Well,
Rock.
Doctor, do you have any ideas what we should do? Anyone?
We could grab find some sticks or some some sort of a staff and try to get it under the carriage to lift it up.
Yes, didn't you just not long ago you found that pitchfork?
Yes,
Perhaps we could use that.
it should be long enough.
Excellent, and maybe we can use the body of the enormous rodent as a counterweight to help pull with some form of thread or something.
That should work. We can. I'll take the pitchfork and start placing it under the side of the carriage.
All right. So he is going to kind of take off his jacket, kind of roll up his sleeves. This is really kind of the first time that he's deemed it necessary to kind of get his hands dirty. But he seems intent on trying to help right this carriage so that you can get back on your way. There's a lot of you who are helping. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will reach out and take his coat from him when he takes it off. I'll hold on to that. That's how I'll help.
He'll nod his thanks. Yes, thank you.
Rosalind
All
will
right.
obviously go to help and lift.
Mm-hmm. There are plenty of you who are trying to help. Let's consult how to do like a group rule. So this is probably going to be an action roll. It's going to be somebody will choose a field and skill. To combine to use. I don't know what it means to help someone. Help and hindrance. There we go. You get one of the following benefits. You can either add a +1 to your roll. You can gain an automatic success without needing to roll the die. Oh, I guess I choose one of these. Gain the requisites to make an action roll you wouldn't normally be able to make. Okay. So I think it's going to give a +1 to whoever's going to make this roll. But whoever is going to be the main one to roll this, if you would please choose one of your skills and one of your traits.
I would like to propose something.
Oh, yes, please.
To the group, because I'm not helping physically to right this carriage.
Mm-hmm.
My hands are very delicate instruments needed to heal you should you get wounded. But I have a very high, as demonstrated during the fight with the rat, high authority skill. So what I'm pitching is that I use my authority to basically direct all of you from a vantage point, maybe standing astride the corpse of the rat. So I'm using my authority to tell each of you which one to pull, push, do all this kind of stuff. Because I have 4 in authority.
Excellent.
And what was the other thing? A trait?
Yeah, you have to pick a field and then a trait. Or no, I'm sorry, a field and a skill.
Right. So the field would be the thing under which
Authority,
the skill...
I think.
Is authority the field or the skill?
Authority would be the skill, I think.
War would be the field.
The war
right?
would be the field.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. That is correct.
So, I'm not saying we have to go with that, but that's my proposal.
I like that idea.
Accomplishing this.
I like that idea too. Don't forget, I believe you can mix and match the fields and skills.
You can, yes.
You don't have to use war just to use authority. You could have a better one.
I have the same in war and academia. So I have a 2 in war and a 4 in authority, if I'm reading this correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what do I roll?
So you'll roll. You said you had a 2 and a 4.
2 in war and 4 in authority. Yes.
So you will roll 6. You'll roll 7 dice because you get a +1 because of the help
Okay.
people. You roll 7 dice, and then you're looking for samesies.
And they're D6. Yeah.
Yeah, d6s.
I'll grab a couple more D6s here.
See, you needed those 7 d6.
That's funny. That is funny. And then I just want to check one thing. Just see if this is applicable.
I thought the same thing whenever he said authority.
Where did it go? Trying to see. Where's the. I have a trait called Know It All, and I'm just wondering if it applies, but I can't find the description of the trait.
I could tell you what that is because I have
Okay.
it as well. Mine says
Oh,
gain
2 know-it-alls. Ugh.
gain a free reroll whenever trying to remember info about the house,
Okay.
its history, and famous littlings.
So not applicable here.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Not in this situation.
All right. I got 7d6,
Yep.
and I'm looking for samesies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to try
Let's
to
see.
match as many as possible.
I got a 3 and a 3, a 2, a 2, and a 2, and then a 1 and a 5. So I got 3 2s
Okay.
and 2 3s.
Triples is a critical success, I believe. Yes, critical success. Okay, cool. So, so you absolutely succeed. Your positioning so that you can kind of oversee everything, as well as letting those who are prying with this weapon, this pitchfork, and those that are pulling with the ropes. You're able to orchestrate the riding of this carriage, and finally it's back on all 4 wheels. The mice that are pulling it are brought kind of under. They're calmed down and brought kind of under control, and before probably 10 minutes has passed, you're able to prepare to leave once again, having lost very little time. Once you are set and you're able to kind of detach the thread that you've been using, kind of to use to tie against the rat's corpse, the huntress goes over and immediately starts to field dress this creature, getting ready to take its hide. Mr. Brummell seems to lose the strength of his stomach whenever he sees that this is happening, and he pulls his full attention into getting back on the road. Well, that was quite eventful. Should we? We do have some time to make up.
Yes, well, it's absolutely wonderful to see how well we all can work together to accomplish such things as this. And Mr. Bromley, here, take this. And I hand him a small bottle from my doctor's bag. It is a homebrew, a remedy of an ale made from the extract of ginger root. It should ease your stomach.
Oh, it might be a little early for drink.
Yeah, it's non-fermented.
Oh, no, non-fermented ale made from ginger, you say?
Yes, you might call it a soft drink, I guess.
Oh, well, in that case, he'll take it and pop the cork on it and start to imbibe. Oh, that's quite good.
Yes, I know.
What do you call it?
Ale of ginger root, I guess. I hadn't really thought of it. I
Well-
mean, it was an old family recipe handed down by my grandfather, who was also the physician. His name was Werner. I guess we could call it Werner's Ale of ginger root.
Oh, this is wonderful. Maybe we could serve this at the wedding.
Well, I only have the a couple of bottles. Perhaps I could set to brewing some. It takes a small amount of time. Once we are there, if there's time.
Well, yes. I'm certain that we could arrange it. Well, we should get underway. I'm already feeling better. Right. Is there anything else that you would like to do before you do, in fact, hit the dusty trail?
Ronan is going to load this rat tooth onto the carriage somewhere, so that he doesn't have to carry it on his shoulder or something all this time. Because I know he's been doing some of the scouting and guiding and whatnot.
Okay, absolutely. All right. So you load back up and you head back out across this kind of open farmland, making further progress towards Doorkeep. On this leg of your journey, the conversation is a little more animated. Everybody seems to have been somewhat excited by this brush with death. And the more that the story gets retold, it kind of embellishes, grows, even in the short distance that you have to travel before you arrive at Doorkeep. But eventually you do find yourself approaching the front gates of Doorkeep. Outside, there are a number of the Hearth guard, who are stopping anybody who is coming into Doorkeep and kind of checking their papers and asking what they're doing, and it looks like going through their wagons, carriages, things of that nature to look for contraband.
Where's your warrant?
Does anybody have any contraband by any chance? Any reason to sweat this stop?
Nothing but my tobacco pipe. I know that's for sure.
It's a decorative glass art piece.
Define contraband.
Oh, I don't know. Weapons, perhaps, that are not exactly supposed to be transported to and fro. There could be some medicines that may be contraband. You tell me, do you have any contraband on you?
I'm a doctor by trade.
Mhm.
And I imagine amongst my usual tinctures and wraps and whatnot, I don't know if it's considered contraband in this land, but I probably have some opioids.
Okay. So, you wait your turn, and this is This is like unnecessarily long. Like it takes a long time for them to get through the amount of people that are waiting to get into Doorkeep. But this is being conducted with like a military precision. Like whoever is in charge is forcing these guards to be this meticulous. You can see that they don't like this a lot more than any of you do. But finally, your carriage's turn comes up, and one of them kind of just gestures for you to come forward, and then stops your forward progression as you get close enough. And he comes over to the carriage. Dr. Mercer, are you still on the outside of the carriage?
No, absolutely not. Once everything was rated, I would have ridden inside.
Okay. So this individual, this guard, will come up to the carriage and say, whose carriage is this? And Mr. Brummell will kind of stick his head out of the carriage. It belongs to me, sir. And why are you coming to Doorkeep? Oh, well, it is supposed to be my nuptials in just another day or two. We are headed to Bookshire. Bookshire. And is there anything that you would like to declare as far as what you're carrying? Anything of that nature? Weapons? And his men are already kind of like scouring the carriage. There are a few of us that do carry weapons, yes, but we've just been on somewhat of a dangerous journey, Mr. Brummell says. Not really sure if this is normal or not. And there's a doctor among us. I assume his papers are all in order. The guard kind of turns to you whenever you're indicated, Dr. Meredith. You're a doctor?
Yes, of course I am.
Of course you are. And do you have a license to practice and to carry the kinds of potions
License.
that you carry?
Do I look like this sort who would not be licensed to practice medicine? But yes, of course I have my license, and I will dig into my medical bag and produce the necessary licenses and paperwork, I guess.
Okay. You produce these, and he looks them over, and you could tell like he doesn't know entirely what he's even looking at. But he's definitely kind of like scrutinizing it, making sure that this seems like an actual like legal document. Well, I suppose it looks like it's in order. He folds it up and he hands it back to you. Oh well. He kind of looks over to his men, who kind of give him a nod, like everything seems to be in order. And he kind of will step back. Very well. Come on through. Welcome to Doorkeep. Mr. Brummell will kind of turn and look at those of you who are riding in the carriage with him with kind of a little bit of a shocked expression. This all seems rather unnecessary.
It seems to me like they're expecting someone.
Perhaps. Maybe we should stay in Doorkeep for less time than I had thought. You ride into Doorkeep, which is a city that is situated literally between the door frame of the door leading into the study. The buildings here are made from all kinds of things. Dresser drawers, butter churns. You see gourds that have been hollowed out, all of which are draped with what looks like fabric roofs. Rugs, curtains, perhaps at one point. You see a large teacup that is set in the middle of the town square that seems to serve as a well. And the denizens are kind of moving this way and that rather quickly. Much like Downridge, this place is kind of a bustling hive of activity. You can see that there's a ton of guards here on patrol everywhere. And anywhere that you see one of these guards, they're not lounging around. They're not leaning against the wall. They're at attention. Their uniforms are well kept. They are disciplined and on duty. There does not seem to be a lot in the way of like entertainment or frivolities here. There's no places that would be like a theater or any place like that. It doesn't seem like that's the goal here. It seems like the intention might be to kind of eat, drink, rest, and then move on. You do see, however, a lot of business being conducted. There are wagons that are stacked with mouse pelts, taller than the tallest boggart you've ever seen. Rolls and rolls of them are being traded left and right. You see the husks of insects, beetles and things also being hawked and sold here and there. Likely coming from Pinewood, which is kind of a forested region that is just beyond the Carpet Plains, which is what lies on the other side of Doorkeep here. You also see a ton of matches that are being sold here that have been coated in beeswax. These are being sold as torches. Apparently, the lands that you will be going into are rather dark. So, as you roll into Doorkeep, what is the conversation like? What do we see your characters saying or doing?
I am uncomfortable with the amount of what seems to be surveillance. Like they seem to be watching everyone's movement. So I'm going to be very cautious.
Ronan is just thinking. He's thinking through what he knows or might know about the area that we're headed into, and just going over a list of supplies. He probably thinks he's going over this list in his head, but he's mumbling it. He's mumbling it kind of in a whisper, and after he's kind of gone through it a couple times to make sure that he's pretty sure he's thought of everything that they need. He's gonna go attempt to go procure these items. I don't know if I need to take Brummell with me to do so, since he's funding the expedition. But anything that we don't have that Ronan deems that we might need, he's gonna try to find torches. Make sure that we have rations if we're running low. Make sure that any of our weapons or supplies like that to defend ourselves are either sharpened, polished, and ready, or we have, like ammunition for the key skit, things like that.
Yeah, one of the things that you would be aware of is that the carriage is dropping you off here. Like, they're not going any further. They're going to be turning around and hopefully taking a charge from Doorkeep back to Downridge. So you're going to be going the rest of the way on foot. And it's going to be a 3-day journey from Doorkeep to Pinewood, and it's very much kind of a like there's a lot of changes in elevation and things throughout the Carpet Plains.
All right. If it's elevation to the point where we'll need climbing gear, he's going to try to get climbing gear. He's going to attempt to get something to be able to strap this rat tooth onto his back, or at least be able to carry it better until he can find what he's going to do with it. Yeah, and he'll kind of probably go to each member as well and just ask if there's anything that they need that he can work on getting for them before we leave. I don't know if you guys want to get some type of or try to get some type of mounts if we can, or if we're wanting to go this on foot. But he would also kind of mention that to Brummell as well.
Might need a pack animal, at least someone to take, because I'm imagining Brummell's not coming with like nothing. If this is his nuptials, so I imagine he's got some like a chest or some form of thing that's got all of his clothing,
Absolutely.
and stuff.
So, yes, there's absolutely going to be some kind of pack animal, but I like the idea of it not being a mouse, since like the mice are horses. What would be like the mule or the donkey equivalent?
A beetle, some sort of beetle.
A
that's
beetle,
got a flat
perfect.
carapace, yeah, at the back.
Yeah, I was gonna say some sort of beetle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like one of those like Hercules beetles or whatever that has like the massive like horn on the front. Awesome. Yeah, and this thing
that's
is
where the reins are, so that's how you
steer it. Yeah, and this thing is huge. This thing is like the Hummer of beetles. So yeah, Brummell has found some porters or something like that he can pay to help kind of transfer the luggage from the carriage to this beetle that you're essentially renting for this journey. Okay, what else? Anybody else up to anything while they're in town here? No?
What time of day is it? Like we're not planning to spend the night here, or are we?
I think you probably could, but I was picturing it's kind of like early afternoon. So if you wanted to press on, you certainly could. There are probably places to stay in Doorkeep. It makes sense that there would be, but they're probably not like. They're probably more akin to like a hostel. You know, like it's a kind of like very rudimentary, not overly lush trappings and things of that nature. So Brummell is not super eager to stay, unless anybody wants to try to convince him otherwise.
No, but from the knowledge of what we have left to go, is there another place that's going to be available come nighttime, or are we actually camping out tonight?
Yeah, if you pressed on from now, you would be camping. Okay. Ronan, while you are procuring goods, Mr. Brummell has given you coin to do so. Coin is kind of a ambiguous term that they use in household to just represent money. While you're out looking around, you spot a piece of armor that has been made with a paperclip and a snap button, and has been lashed together with some fine looking thread. It looks very strong. This is probably one of the nicest pieces of like handmade armor that you've ever seen. You know, the stuff that is made in towns is all well and good. It serves its function, but sometimes in your experience, the things that were made by people living out in the wilds tends to be a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more rugged and a lot more to the point.
I think that would catch Ronan's eye very quickly. And he would approach whatever stall it's at, and ask about it.
The individual who is selling this. Oh, perfect. Sees you eyeing it, and very quickly kind of makes his way over to you. He's a rather tall, kind of slender sprite, I think is what they're called. Kind of greenish colored skin, and he makes his way over to you where he flashes a smile at you. And he says, "Oh, are you interested in this piece?"
Very much. You make this yourself.
No. I traded for that, but it suits you rather well. I have to say, I think it may just have been made for you, friend. What was your name again?
Ronan.
Ronan. Wonderful. What a strong name.
And yours is?
Oh, I am Bartholomew. And he bows very deep with like a big flourish of his arm. His fez not even falling from his head as he does so. Are you headed into the study, or are you headed the way of Downridge?
We're headed to Plains.
Oh, you're headed into the Carpet Plains. Well, sir, then I would highly recommend you taking some precautions. And what better way, honestly, than protecting your vital organs with this fine piece of armor?
It is a fine piece. Much better than what you see in towns, cities.
Oh, yes, no. All of that stuff that is made from melted down silverware and scraps of iron found around the house. No. This was made by someone who knew what they were doing. Someone like yourself.
Would you happen to know who?
Oh, I do not, sadly enough. As I said, it was traded to me by a littling who came through, quite some time ago.
Are you asking?
No, it's just the small price of a coin. It is never too much to protect your life. He kind of smiles again.
Is it cursed?
Cursed? No, of course not. Curses. I wouldn't sell cursed goods.
Well, who could pass up such exquisite armor? A coin.
Just merely one coin, sir. And it's absolutely yours. I'll even fit it for you, here and now.
Take it.
Wonderful. Yes, excellent. He goes through all of the arrangements of taking your payment, and then we'll make good on his offer, and he will fit it to you. The threads are tightened around your waist and your arms, the back of your neck, kind of crossed across your back, and before long, it fits pretty well. You feel like you still have most of your movement. It's not as bulky as a lot of the armors that are kind of actually smelted and sold in the cities. It's definitely meant for kind of on the go. So this counts as a suit of light armor. If you need help finding what that does mechanically, let me know, and I'll look it up and drop it in our chat.
I believe I have it.
Okay. Right. Yes, I would say that your time in town would count as a moment's respite.
That's more applicable to those who accumulated stress. A moment's respite would allow them to remove accumulated stress.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, especially there is a place that has been kind of established for you to stop for a meal, like spend a small amount of time to eat and get something to drink. And it is at a place called... What is the place called? Drowning Molly's. It is a tavern run by an Undine. An Undine woman named Molly. Who seems to have some control over fluids and liquids, which comes in pretty handy running a bar, as you might imagine. So, they are known for their honey mead in particular, as well as for the all-you-can-eat nut and seed bar. Where she actually forms blades from water and uses those to very cleanly cut these nuts and seeds into servings for people. So, the time that you'll be spending there and the time that you're going to be in town will certainly serve as a respite. Okay. So, is there anything else that you would like to say or do before you head out across the Carpet Plains for 3 days?
Yes, I think at some point, maybe before we sit down to eat, or maybe it's after, but Cassiani would like to pull Rosalind aside.
Okay.
Sister, if you don't mind, can I have a word?
I very much imagine that there's this, like, she's this close with food and to go into her mouth, and she's kind of looks up. I suppose she places food down, and as she stands up, she folds her arms and kind of nods her head for Cassiani to go ahead of her, and she'll follow.
I think we go to some, maybe just outside a little bit where it's a little bit private in the public space. And Cassiani, for some reason, she looks very uncomfortable. Her poise is a little bit rattled at this moment. She's kind of fidgeting, and she's not acting the way she normally does in situations. And it maybe almost grates on Rosalind how long it takes Cassiani to actually say anything now that she's got you in private. Dearest sister, there's something I need to tell you. I'm ashamed I've kept it secret so long, but
What, you don't like dirt? Is that what it is? I've known that for a while.
of course I don't like dirt, but no, that's not it at all.
It's very obvious Rosalind was trying to like calm the moment down.
Yeah. I know the man who hurt you. I know the man who hurt you very well. I'm in love. I was in love with him. And I'm so sorry.
Rosalind takes a deep breath. But her posture doesn't change. I don't think she can look at Cassiani at the moment. And when she speaks, it's hiding something. And you decide to bring it up now. Wonderful. I think you should stay in the carriage. Wouldn't want to hurt Mommy and Daddy's little precious, would we? And I think that's when Rosalind just turns and she goes back inside.
Yeah, and Cassiani, it looks like you slapped her, like you physically hit her. She is shocked and hurt, and basically to her it was like the worst thing that could have happened, and explains why she didn't want to tell you in the first place. But she will she just stands there kind of stunned and hurting. She won't return to where we were. She will go back to the carriage and wait there. That she can do.
Okay. Meanwhile, back inside, when Cassiani and Rosalind leave, and only Rosalind returns, Tatiana is seated next to Rosalind, and when Rosalind has kind of sat back down, she kind of very quietly, discreetly, kind of leans on an elbow closer to Rosalind. Is everything all right?
Fine. And Rosalind will pop food into her mouth.
Will Cassiana be rejoining us?
It's up to her.
Very well. I went ahead and took the initiative to order this for you. and she slides you a glass of mead. Just in case.
She looks at it for a moment and nods her head. But I think she's just more interested in eating because they have a long journey ahead of them.
Mm-hmm. She leaves the matter alone. She doesn't bring it up again. She goes back to talking over things. Brummell, who is still talking about the writing of the carriage and the close encounter that you had with this massive rat. He's doing a good job of not overplaying his part in everything. However, his enthusiasm is a bit much at times. At some point, Molly will come over and check on all of you. So, how is everything? You enjoying it?
I'll order an ale for me and some kind of nectar juice for Peaches.
Oh, certainly. Of course. Coming right up. Anyone else?
I'll have the same minus the nectar juice.
An ale, then. Very well.
Do you have lotus seed?
Lotus seed. Maybe we do. I'll have to check for you.
If not, whatever standard legume you have on hand, and a glass of dandelion wine.
Dandelion, what? You have good taste.
I thank you.
Very well, I'll be right back. She moves off swiftly, and you can see her preparing these drinks and the food. Again, kind of forming these blades with mere water that she draws from a flask. Sat on the side of the bar where she works. She does in fact have lotus seed, and she will bring some of that to you, as well as bringing all of your drinks back to the table. There you are. I hope that you all enjoy, and if there's anything else, just let me know. And with that, you are left to your small party minus Cassiani. Does anybody else notice that Cassiani is missing?
I think Ronan noticed when Rosalind came back and heard talk and heard Herbie asked if everything was okay, and Ronan leaves it for a while. And then depending on whether Cassiani comes back by the time maybe halfway through our meal, he's gonna begin to get worried and go check.
Okay. What does Ronan find whenever he approaches the carriage? Even though you're going to be leaving the carriage behind.
Right. Cassiana didn't remember that part, but maybe she actually went to the pack animal. That would be more appropriate because that's where we're going to go from.
Sure, that makes sense.
I think You don't even see it as you're walking up because it's the other side of the beetle, down on the side away from you. But as you're approaching, you can hear a soft sobbing happening on the other side of the beetle.
I think that Ronan, he's approaching with some confidence. When he like comes to where the pack animal will be. Just in a sense of like, I'm gonna fix whatever's wrong if Cassiani's in danger. Like, his first thought is that something may have happened to you, that you're in danger. And then as he enters kind of this space and he hears this sobbing, he kind of like slides on his heel to a stop, and just kind of stands in the doorway for a minute. Not sure whether he should intrude or just leave. And he's kind of going over everything that happened the last time the party was split and emotions got high. And after probably an uncomfortable amount of time for, at least for Ronan, I don't know if Cassiani knows he's here, but
yeah, I don't think if you made no noise, Cassiani is too busy. She doesn't know you're there yet. Yeah.
He will he'll just come in then, and after an awkward amount of time for him, he'll eventually enter fully, and just start checking kind of the pack animals, the tack and stuff, as if that's what he came here to do. And he's not making so much noise as to spook the animals in here, but he's making enough noise to kind of let you know that he's here. And just he wants to gauge your reaction to him being here, or saying or doing anything.
Yeah, and I think as you start to work on the pack animals, Cassiani will definitely hear that you're there, and you'll hear the sniffle as someone's trying to stop crying, and then moments later, Cassiani will kind of stand up. Her face is, well, I mean, it's tear stained, but she looks like she has tried to compose herself, and she's kind of like dusting off her clothing. She's like, oh, Ronan, I'm sorry. I was just taking a moment to myself. Is everything okay? Are we leaving?
Spill it. What has happened?
Whatever do you mean?
I mean the fact that the two sisters that have been nearly glued together since we started this journey are now at opposite ends of the town. One acts as if they don't want to speak of it. The other is pack animals. I didn't intrude much last time. This nature. But I feel as though if strife is happening again, it could be a problem. There's something that we need to take care of. We venture into a land that is going to threaten our lives.
You can see that Cassiani is just barely holding it together at this point. She's trying so very hard to put on this like brave face, but the more you're saying, you can see like her lip starts to tremble a little bit, and she's just like, oh, she hates me. I did something so terrible. I mean, I didn't do it, but I knew it. She'll never forgive me. I don't know what to do.
What is it that you think you have done to make your sister hate you?
I knew the man who ripped her wings off.
Knew him.
Worse yet, I loved the man that ripped her wings off.
Ronan starts to say something and then catches himself and looks back down and um tightens one of the belts he's working on a pack animal, and he's you can tell that he's thinking.
I don't know how to fix this. When I found out, I left. I came after her. And I hadn't spoken to him until we met him at Downridge.
He the one that both of you ran from.
Yes.
I assume that you had no idea.
None, I swear. If I'd known, if I had even had a hint, I would have stopped him. But I did not know. I did not know until I saw my sister all bloodied and torn and so very hurt. And she told me, she described what happened and who it did, and I was a coward. I was a coward. I couldn't tell her what I knew. But I stand with her, and I will do whatever I can to make her whole. But I don't think she'll believe me anymore.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, your mic cut out.
I don't think that's true, Cassiani. I think that your sister can come to respect me. She may say that she doesn't. Definitely doesn't act the same. First met. I think that you can be forgiven. She can come to respect you again. I think that your sister might be quick to anger, frustration. Once that's clear, I think she has a good head on her shoulders. She can see that you didn't do this on purpose. You didn't help this person hurt her. In fact, you're doing all that you can to make her whole again, as you said.
I hope you're right, Ronan. But I fear she doesn't want to see me now.
Well, unless one of you are staying behind this place or venturing back alone, you're kind of stuck with each other.
She just kind of nods, and you can see you potentially like comfort her a little bit. And so she turns to start like mimicking what you're doing or had been doing with the pack animals. And you can see that she doesn't really know what she's doing, but she's trying very hard. Can I help here?
Yes. And Ronan will kind of like he'll start showing you he'll assume that since you asked, you kind of know what you're doing, and you just kind of like this is the thing that you know how to do, and we just haven't seen it yet. But once he sees like you do some simple task and obviously you don't know what you're doing, he'll start kind of showing you and guiding you that direction. And at some point he reaches into a pack he has, and he pulls out a bundle, maybe after we've checked everything and gotten done, and he pulls out like a helping of whatever we had for dinner at the place, and he hands you this bundle of like seeds and things that we were having, and just hands it to you, since you left before you could eat. We all need our strength, though.
She takes it so very gratefully and probably gives you the biggest like curtsy bow that you've ever received from somebody. She is extremely grateful.
Ronan just laughs when you do the curtsy bow to him. He just, for whatever reason, it catches it just sends him into almost not, I won't say hysterics, but just a very jubilant laughter.
I think it causes Cassiani to blush somewhat because that has never been the reaction when she's done it in court. So, but then I think she sees how silly it is out here and will also join you in the laughter.
And as we pull back away from the stables where this giant Hercules beetle is being loaded up for the journey into the carpet plains, this is where we're going to go ahead and take our break. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, kiss your spouse, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. Yeah, and sit tight because we will be right back with the second half of Act 3 of All the Little Things. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of tonight's game. I forgot my Santa hat. This is All the Little Things. We are playing the Household RPG system, which just came out earlier this year, officially. It's a big game about tiny people living in an enormous mansion that has been abandoned for some time. If you like things like The Littles, or The Borrowers, or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, or the video game Grounded, or Indian in the Cupboard, things like that, Jack and the Beanstalk, then this is the kind of game that might be for you. So, in particular, the story that we are telling is called All the Little Things, and this is Act 3. So we are in the town of Doorkeep currently, and are about to be headed into a place called the Carpet Plains for a 3-day journey to the town of Pinewood. So, we are transitioning from carriage travel to travel on foot, with a rather large beetle serving as your pack animal. We are headed into the study of the house. So, as you finish your meals of the all-you-can-eat nut and seed bar at Drowning Molly's, as well as some pints of ale or mead or dandelion wine, what have you, Mr. Brummell seems eager to get back on the trail. Beheaded? Sure. The night's young. Why not? All right. So, you head back out the other side of Doorkeep, leaving behind the guards and the kind of military organization of this place, and out ahead of you stretches the expanse of the study. Far to the left, you can see the land of the Hearth that kind of gives this kingdom its namesake. On the right, you can see the Yule Forest, made from a tree that has been knocked over long, long ago by another tree branch from the outside, the outhold tree, that has caused the cracked window, and means that because of the fallen tree branch outside of the cracked window, it means that only the last few hours of daylight actually reach this room. And a large percentage of that is filtered by the Yule tree, particularly over the carpet plains. The carpet plains of the living room themselves is a landscape of hills and valleys made from the shifted wrinkles and folded corners. These canyons, though they are worn threadbare with age and traffic, are overgrown with mushroom forests and a wide variety of molds. So, you can see Bookshire, your destination, on the far side of this expanse. And you now begin the long journey to cross this room. Anybody saying or having any kind of reaction to seeing this? Is this anybody's first time entering the Hearthlands?
Like with Dr. Meredith's background, and establishing that he has some sort of military background, that he's probably been here a couple times, but it's been a long time. So I imagine walking alongside the pack beetle, with a I believe it's called a walking toothpick, and some sort of small pack, and probably initially just pointing out a thing here or there, but after a while, it's pretty much every time you move through some new terrain feature that Dr. Meredith remarks, "Well, when I was here last, that was much smaller. There weren't nearly as many mushrooms. Or I remember when the boughs of the Yule tree that seemed to be a darker green." Just that guy that's constantly pointing out everything that's changed.
Anyone else?
I think we established that Ronan had been through here before. And I think his initial reaction to like maybe the first couple of things that Dr. Brummell says is to like attempt to correct him, but then he realizes that what Dr. Brummell said was correct. He's just used to people um thinking that they know more than they know and just spouting off nonsense when he's a guide. Um like the first couple of things Dr. Brummell says, Ronan kind of like takes in a breath to do the correction and then is looks a bit confused and is like, no, that's actually correct.
I think Rosalind is really just taking everything in and maybe idly listening to Dr. Meredith as he's talking, and occasionally she'll kind of glance at where he's talking about. And I think it's here that her shoulders kind of relax. She's usually very tense and trying to be proper, and but now her shoulders relax. This is just being out and not being in the city and having to play the part. It's very relaxing for her.
It's probably the opposite for Cassiani. She has been here before, but the last time, like it would have been a long time ago, and with mom and dad, and we wouldn't have been walking on foot for our journey. So Cassiani is probably not as comfortable with the surroundings and just kind of listening to Dr. Meredith talk, using it kind of as a cover to not say anything because she's just not going to be quiet and let him do all the talking, and she'll be walking beside Mr. Bromwell back there with him, letting the guides be in the front and guiding. If he flies, she will too, but only if Rosalind's not looking backwards.
Nathan, no worries. It is actually Brummel.
Oh, I was talking about Jake's character, and I think I called him.
Oh, you called him
like
Dr.
5
Brummel?
times.
He called me Dr. Brummel. I started the type
apologize.
of correction, and I was like, I'm not going to be pedantic. You'll figure it out.
I'm the one that's not correcting Dr. Meredith, but I'm referring to him as Brummel the whole time, being in the wrong.
Perfect. I love it. Mr. Brummel seems to definitely be out of his element. Um, you get the sense that maybe he planned for this leg of the journey to be by foot, without really having much in the way of experience with such things. And now he seems to be kind of realizing the magnitude of exactly what he has signed on for. Oh, it does appear to be quite the distance.
Quite far. Did you mean for this so that you could have time to think and prepare and plan and consider your choice?
Oh, I suppose perhaps maybe that was something of that matter. I thought it would do some good, for me to really be able to see the kingdom that I would be calling home.
That's
I've only visited the Hearth on a few occasions before, and it's always been rather brief.
it's very wise of you to think that, see the countryside and to know what it's like, your new home. She kind of says that with kind of a question mark. Have you given more
Oh.
thought about what we said and mentioned to you earlier about?
He kind of looks out, walking along, and he repeats the word home. Yes, I'm sure that it's something I will grow to love. Just like my betrothed.
You don't love her.
Oh, no, certainly I do. I just, like the Hearth itself, I feel, it will take some time to know her better.
And to find out if the rumors are true.
Excuse me, the rumors?
You don't remember? It was Tatiana was trying to tell you about what it's like in the employ of Miss de Colletta.
Ah. Yes.
You will still keep an open mind, right?
Of course. I am certain that there is a perfectly reasonable explanation for everything.
And if there isn't, you will be careful, right?
Well, careful in what way?
I would not want to see you harmed or make the wrong choice.
Well, perhaps I don't really know that there is an alternative at this point. There's too many things put in motion, too many lives that have been touched by this. I would hate to recount on a deal that was made, a promise that was made.
Is a deal?
Well, yes, marriage is a bit of a contract. In a way, it's a deal, an arrangement.
Yes, but one doesn't usually talk of such things about it like that.
Well, I wouldn't presume to know the manners of court where you and your family frequent, dear Cassiani, but there are plenty of people who know very well what marriage is. Speak of it quite frankly and honestly.
What are you getting out of it then? This deal of love, as you say.
Well, the de Colletta line is very well established. She's made a good name for herself and has lots of connections here in Bookshire. It will bring a lot of honor to my family's name.
As long as she is honorable, it will.
That is a fair point. But I'd rather not think of that. I'm certain that there are plenty of explanations for everything. My family, as the Victoria family, I am sure, has fielded its fair share of slings and arrows thrown at it. Not all of them are true. Many of them are not. People talk, they spread gossip and rumors. I'm certain that it's nothing more than that.
Well, I hope also that it is nothing more than that, but if it is, if they are true, or even just a smidgen of the truth, make sure to take care of yourself. Protect yourself.
I certainly will. And thank you for your concern. I have not traveled with you long, but I feel a certain friendship has developed between you and I, Cassiani. I feel as though I can trust you.
Yeah. And thank you.
Very well then. Onward, shall we?
Yes, 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 we shall.
Okay. You head out. The first day of your journey, and you see quite a bit of other traffic coming to and from Doorkeep. Some people come and go on mice, some people come and go on or with beetles, some people come and go via snail. But as you roam deeper and deeper across the carpet plains, you find the fungal growth to grow exponentially until they tower over you and cause the limited light that comes in through the cracked window to be very dim. You pass a number of road signs that kind of depict different destinations that you could choose from the beaten path here and there. Some literal forks in the road. You continue to head towards the signs and follow the signs demarking Pinewood as you head closer and closer towards the Yule tree. You start to find small bodies of standing water here and there, created by the condensation and the collection of rainwater and snowmelt that tends to happen here in the study because of the hole in the window. What I would like is for each of you to tell me one thing that you come across or see or interact with on this leg of your journey.
think one of the things that we see is as the fungal growth grows thicker, there's an area that we pass by that looks almost like a fairy mound, like a tall hill of mostly mushrooms, but there's moss and stuff growing on it. And it's not until we start to move past it and we see on the far side of it the open cavities of the skull that this is some large creature like a raccoon or something that came in from the outside and died a very long time ago. So long ago that now with all the mushrooms and the moss and everything over it, as we pass by and you see sort of the one open eye socket and the open mouth, there's probably so either somebody has taken refuge in there or maybe there's some kind of smaller critters that have made this their home.
To go along with that, I think maybe like further along, there's this like, it's almost like a kind of a mountain range that you can kind of see off in the distance that's covered with these fungal growths. And we don't get too close to it, but we get close enough that you can kind of see some of the details of this mountain range. And you notice that peeking out every once in a while, there'll be like this bright red color that kind of like almost like a waterfall is cascading down this mountainside. And we get close enough that you can tell that this is actually a very thick, probably, like it would probably be, I don't know, like a tower almost in circumference for us, of a rope that is hanging down from what would appear to be like this wooden duck, for if you will, with wheels that has long fallen and been left in this carpet and grown over.
I really like this idea that we're going to piggyback off each other, because I imagine, passing the raccoon skull and passing this wooden duck, eventually we all come up to something that looks very soft. And maybe as Rosalind looks and she reaches out, and you guys might even see her hand just kind of squish whatever this is, and it comes back up, and these little puffs of fluff come out, and it's an old teddy bear. And you can see where like rats or mice have used the teddy bear to sleep in for warmth and things like that. And you can see that we have to kind of go around this huge, like, the buttons that we use are like shirt buttons, but this button is much bigger, and it would probably take a couple of us to kind of move it. So we just kind of go around it as we get closer to what would be the head of the teddy bear.
As we're passing all of these different landmarks, the skull and the duck and the teddy bear, there's a little ways past the skull, this red river starts. And it weaves in and around. It weaves around the like maybe the neck of the duck, where the rope isn't. And it appears as though it snakes its way down and snakes its way over to the teddy bear. And if you look closely, it's not attached to the teddy bear, but teddy bear has way up high on it, it has this clump of just red stuff that looks like this river. And then it's got another piece of it cascading down. Um, and it's Christmas bows and Christmas ribbons that have fallen and just tattered in pieces. And it to us it looks like rivers as it's going across this carpet. It looks like rivers, and we have to kind of cross it as if it's rivers. Um, and it's this you can see this stuff to us for like long distances off.
I like the thought that maybe it's like silk or something, so like the mold and the mildew has not like grown on it the same way that it has taken to like this very loose weave fabric of the carpets and stuff here. It's awesome. And it's slippery, yep. Shiny, so it does definitely looks like water. The failing light of the day as it leaves the study. You also have come across like small, it would almost be like a copse of trees where like these enormous dust bunnies have been like gathered, where they've kind of collected against one another and caught on one another and just become this giant mound of fairly insubstantial fibers and dust and all kinds of things, hair, fur. But you give most of those a pretty wide berth because you know that they are crawling with dust mites, which one dust mite is no problem. You know, it's kind of more of an annoyance than anything else, but the number of dust mites that would be living in each one of these little collectives is enough to be avoided. Okay. The end of the first day out here in the Carpet Plains comes to a close, and you are able to make camp for the evening. You find yourself a small, out-of-the-way place. Let's see, what would be something fun to find as a place to camp?
An ornament, broken ornament.
An ornament, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely ornaments and stuff from the Yule tree, and this must be one of like the far outlying ones. It must have gotten flung pretty far whenever this fell and hit the tree or hit the ground. So I think it's like a glass ornament that, oh, perfect. So it's like a glass ornament that has what we would recognize as remainders of like the figures of the manger scene, like in it. And some of them are kind of stood leaning against the interior of the ornament now. And so this place almost has kind of like a shrine kind of feel to it. All the walls are very kind of like shiny, or at least in spots are still kind of shiny. And there's these almost statue like figurines that are kind of leaning in odd angles all over the place inside of this ornament. So you are able to set up camp here and stay here for the evening. What is the interaction like between Cassiani and Rosalind at this confined camp space where interaction is unavoidable?
I don't think Rosalind's truly avoiding interaction. It's she's just not talking to Cassiani. Like it's very much okay, I will help you set this up, but I am not saying anything right now. I am going to do this in absolute silence, and then I'm going to go set my stuff up. Like, she will very much help Cassiani if Cassiani needs help. It's it's just right now, if she tries to talk to Cassiani, she's probably going to implode. And she very much doesn't want to do that in front of all of these strangers. Because these strangers, at least to her knowledge, don't know what happened to her. So
I think on Cassiani's end, she's walking on tiptoes around Rosalind. So she's trying very hard not to set her off any more than she already is. She respects the space. While she'll try to talk, when Rosalind just says nothing or walks away, she doesn't pursue. She knows her sister. She knows that if she tries to go after her, that it's going to end poorly. It has to be done in Rosalind's timeline, if it happens at all. And this, I think, is what hurts Cassiani the most, is she knows there's nothing more she can do. Anything she tries will just make the situation worse. At least that's what she believes. So she just lets it go and gets, I think, probably sadder as the night goes on, but she finds solace in talking to Dr. Meredith and Mr. Brummell, and even Ronan now.
I think at some point, Tatiana comes back from like wandering off for just a moment, and she's dragging a small bundle of pine needles, like dried pine needles. Like, you know, there's two that are kind of connected by a small nub on the end, but she's dragging these things because they're 2 to 3 times as long as she is tall, and she drags them back and kind of drops it to the ground on the outside of the ornament, where she kind of exhales. Whew. Well, I found enough pine needles. I think we should be able to have a fire tonight. It seems like the chill is already kind of setting in. This room, like I said, gets a lot of condensation and rain and cool wind from outside, especially this time of year. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with kind of journeying through the Hearth, the Hearthlands, you know that you would be experiencing kind of like the chills as the light begins to fade and the humidity stays rather high. Would someone be willing to help me break these up?
You know, if you take, as you're breaking those up, and shave a little bit of the pine needle, maybe a handful or two, with some hot water, I could brew us some pine needle tea. It should add, along with the warmth of the fire. It's a good relaxing tea, and should help us sleep as well.
Oh, I certainly could use a cup of tea after walking all day. That sounds delightful, Doctor.
Ronan will help kind of prepare for bedding down for the night. He may have even helped gather some of the pine needles.
Yeah, that makes good sense. And like, these are pine needles to us, but you know, for these littlings, we see them like having to pick a piece up and like break it over their knee, you know, kind of thing, the way that we would with twigs and limbs. breaking it down into manageable lengths that you can then stack in the middle of this open space and build a fire with it. At some point, Tatiana will bring over kind of 2 cupped handfuls of pine needle shavings and pieces that kind of splintered off as these were broken. She presents these to you, Dr. Meredith. Will these be enough?
Yes, this should be perfect. I shall set about making the tea immediately.
Excellent.
And
Okay.
I'll go about making tea.
Excellent. So this evening, while you're camping, and there is measurable tension between the 2 Victoria sisters, the tea gets brewed by Dr. Meredith, while small conversation is made here and there. Mr. Brummell seems somewhat taken with the land here in the Carpet Plains. He seems to be actually doing rather well for having probably physically exerted himself more than he's used to in a given day. I actually found that it's invigorating being kind of amongst all of the mushrooms and seeing all of these creatures coming and going. I rather enjoyed myself. To think we have another 2 days of it.
I should certainly hope that each day is as uneventful as this one.
Yep, soon. I rather think we would be approaching the Yule tree. Is that correct? He kind of looks at you, Ronan.
I imagine that's correct since we've seen some remnants of it.
Yeah, you would know based on the route that has been chosen. There's basically 2 ways to really go, and it's either you kind of hug the left wall and you head towards like the Hearth, which is its own city, and then there's another city that's kind of on the way underneath one of the chairs, I believe. And then, so that's one path. And then the path that you're going travels basically straight towards the Yule tree. There's a town just as you kind of get into the outskirts of where the Yule tree has kind of grown into the carpet, called Pinewood. And it's kind of a little bit of an outpost, kind of the last civilized stop before you actually have to wander through the Yule forest, beneath the Yule tree, where Bookshire is on the other side.
Yeah, Ronan will kind of relate all that information, just kind of like go through it in detail as well, kind of laying out our path and the plan that we have. Because I know we talked about this. I think we talked about it our first session, the route we would take. So he's going over that again for not only his benefit but the rest of the group's benefit. Laying out our path and the plan where we're going.
Yeah, so the Yule tree sounds like it might be quite exciting. What sort of dangers should we watch for, Mr. Flynn?
We should be aware of any possibility.
Oh, your audio cut out.
We are open to the outside.
Oh,
There's
so
no telling what's outside household.
I see. So it could be something worse than a rat.
Worse than a rat?
Ronan kind of chuckles. Um, he's thinking back to the raccoon skull that we passed on the way here. I don't know that Ronan has ever seen something like that. But he definitely launches at this point into a tale that sounds pretty fantastical of where that skull actually came from. Whether that's true or not, I don't know if Ronan even knows that. But he's just reciting some tale he's heard of how that skull got here and where it came from.
Absolutely. It sounds like a story about, like the Loch Ness monster. This titanic creature that ate rats and mice. This dinosaur of a creature that's difficult to believe that it even would exist. Mr. Brummell is kind of clearly somewhat shaken by this story. But surely such a creature wouldn't be here inside the Yule Forest now.
I've made this trip a few times. I've never seen
Your audio cut out again. I've never seen
anything bigger than a rat. But thing about this area and the Yule tree is beautiful. It is captivating. It can turn on you in a second, even if it is merely a rat. You should don't let that discourage you from taking in beauties. Don't let the beauties bring your guard down.
He nods. I've been meaning to ask, would you show me how to fire that? He indicates your keyskit.
No hesitation with Ronan safely pulling it out and agreeing to show Brummel. He is more than happy to show his love for everything, like outdoors, hunting, like all of these things. And this is he explains that this is a weapon that, while it's been modified over the years, has been handed down through his family as well.
It's absolutely breathtaking. How loud it is. How much it fights you. It does this every time you pull this. What was it? The Tigger. What did you call it?
The trigger, Mr. Brummel.
Trigger. Yes. Fascinating. Dr. Meredith, do you shoot?
I have not fired a key stick in many years. Would even measure it in decades.
Well, I had no idea that they were around that far back. And either of you, Cassiani, Rosalind, do either of you shoot?
Oh my goodness, no.
I've always wanted to learn, but I have yet to.
Well, I'm learning myself.
Now
Would you
I'm
like to try?
watching. There's a pause for a minute.
As you pause, Cassiani's going to jump in and say, I would love to.
And there's where my answer went.
Brummel kind of, wonderful, yes. Ronan, would you show Cassiani the trigger? He says with kind of like determined recollection.
I think for a second, Ronan has a flash of what could be mistaken as annoyance. But it's not towards everyone, anyone or everyone wanting to learn or interested in this. It's simply the fact that Brummel offered for everyone to learn. But
absolutely,
that quickly changes to Ronan being more than happy to kind of show whoever is interested. Just like it's very much like almost like a training class. Like he starts at one end of the key skit before there's any more shots fired and works all the way down to the other end, describing what each piece functions and what it does, and just trying to familiarize them with this before actually firing another shot or even allowing someone else to fire a shot.
Yeah, he's very much kind of taken with the technology of how it works, and he shoots it several more times before he finally kind of like throws up a hand. I think my shoulder's had enough for one day at least. Maybe some more tomorrow.
Yes, maybe tomorrow you'll actually hit something.
I did come close, I think.
I think in the midst of that, like Cassiana shot it once before she relinquishes back to Mr. Brummel and let him go on, because once was enough because her shoulder that hurt. Yeah, that was not comfortable. So she's happy just to watch Mr. Brummel enjoy shooting.
Okay. So the rest of the evening passes uneventfully. For those of you who have not traveled here before, the noises at night here are different. There's almost a continual noise of wind kind of whistling in through the broken window on the other side of the Yule tree from where you are. But even from this distance, you can still hear that noise, this just kind of constant through the night. Again, the chill overnight is not to be taken lightly. The fire is kind of kept up with throughout the night, or perhaps on watches, so that you can keep the inside of this ornament as warm as possible. The firelight kind of twinkling and reflecting in various different colors because of the painted or dyed glass that this ornament was made from. And in the morning, you're able to break camp and head back out onto the trail. The morning itself is pretty dark still. When you first awaken, you might even mistake the time of day, thinking it to be much earlier than it really is, because of how much light is blocked from coming in. But you light your beeswax torches, and you You make your way through the fungal forests that kind of start to give way to small little growths of pine trees here and there that to our littlings are actually quite large. You see more and more signs of pine needles, as well as more broken ornaments, perhaps even more large formations, landmarks that were children's toys once upon a time, children who belonged to the master of the house. You also notice as the light from outside starts to finally brighten that it is broken into these individual rays of light that are kind of thrown in every direction because of the filter of the Yule tree itself. And every so often, something moves through the branches of the Yule tree, which is almost like, for us, creatures passing over in the canopy of a really thick forest or jungle environment. The branches move, the little rays of light are kind of interrupted, and you never really get a clear indication as to what exactly is causing them. But it definitely feels like there is a lot of activity that is going on just outside of like your vision.
Ronan, while he is guiding the party forward, he is keeping as close of an eye on all of this that's happening above them as possible.
I was gonna say, I think Rosalind would be would kind of like, it would catch her attention, and then she'd be like, okay. And then maybe she would glance at Ronan, like, just giving him this look like, you saw that too, right?
Okay. The
I
two of
think
you. Oh, sorry. Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say, I
Please.
think Cassiani is she's remembering the story, the tale, the horror that Ronan was describing last night around the fire. Cassiani's imagination starts to play tricks with her, and she's starts to become like a little bit nervous, visibly tense. And unconsciously she is, I mean, she's still walking with Mr. Brummel instead of with the ones in front. She's probably intentionally getting closer and closer, maybe I don't know what the improperly, so impropriety. There's a big word.
Inappropriately?
Thank you. Inappropriately close to him. But she's not even noticing that because she's just a little bit afraid right now.
You can tell that Mr. Brummel himself seems to be a little on edge as well. He is kind of, jumping this direction and that whenever there's a sudden movement or noise that kind of comes from this movement ahead of you and above you. We are still safe and everything is fine. Yes, Mr. Flynn?
Everything's fine. If you see anything strange, give a shout.
Anything strange? He jumps.
And Ronan instantly turns around. Keys, get ready.
You saw it too, didn't you? Right, like right there. She's kind of pointing, and she's talking to Mr. Brummell.
Perhaps this did seem to be a rather large branch that was moved.
Branches moving aren't strange.
Well, uh, eyes forward, chins up. And you head deeper into the area of the Yule tree. As I said, there were more ornaments that you saw as you're kind of approaching. It seems like there were quite a bit on this tree. A large majority of them seem to have broken and shattered whenever the Yule tree fell. And before long, the particular kind of valley, the folds in the carpet you have found yourself in, there seems to be kind of a large collection of these broken pieces of glass and crystal. And you kind of find yourself in a bit of a kind of an overwhelming stimulation. Like everywhere you look, there's reflected light and sharp objects, sharp edges, points that you have to avoid. And you find yourself almost in like a bit of a mirror maze. You're passing near these broken pieces of glass, and you're seeing reflections of yourself. You start to feel like maybe you have been this direction before. It seems like maybe you've taken enough turns that you could be potentially doubling back on yourself. And what I would like is, Ronan, if you are intending on leading the group through this mirror maze, I would like a roll from you, please.
All right.
And there is going to be a situational -1 die to your roll because of the mirror-like qualities of this maze.
Well, I will see your -1 and try to use my Pathfinder ability. With Pathfinder ability, I gain a +1 when looking for trails or trying to find your bearings in the wild.
Okay, perfect. So maybe you're the exact right person to make this roll.
I mean, I am the guide after all.
True. Very true. I figured it would probably fall to you.
Is there a specific roll I need to make? Am I picking something, or
You get to tell me. Choose a field and a skill that you feel is appropriate. And then whatever adjustments need to be made, and then roll up your dice.
Jeremy.
What about?
Sorry,
Yes.
maybe this can play in and give him an 8 or something, but I have a move called Attention to Details,
Ooh,
where I can either ask for a clue or suggestion or find an opponent's weak spot. So I'm thinking about asking for a clue about the surroundings that maybe can help aid him in his role.
Okay.
I don't know what moves do. I have to look that up.
So I think what Cassiana has probably noticed is the direction of the light that is coming in. You know, that it seems to originate from the cracked window. And as long as you kind of keep the direction of the rays of light that are coming in mind, that it might help orient yourself a little better. It's a +1 die. Is that what you say, Karen?
I don't know what it gives. It gives more just like I don't know what it just says gives a clue.
Oh.
I don't
Okay.
know what that means.
Fair enough. I would assume it seems like most of the boons in this game are an extra die.
Yeah, attention.
What is it called again?
attention to details.
Attention to details.
Something I could use like once it comes with your profession, it says. Okay.
Okay. What profession are you again? Diplomat?
Yeah. I'm either a scholar or I'm a diplomat, but I don't know if that's my profession.
Oh, it is scholar. Yeah. Okay. So scholar is page 54. Let's see if we can't find an answer. We can't find an answer. I do declare.
Attention to details does not grant a bonus die.
Yeah, it just says either ask the narrator for a clue or suggestion or find an opponent's weak spot. Interesting. Doesn't say what to do with that mechanically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he has a clue because
There you
I
go.
pointed out a clue.
You have a clue.
A clue.
About something. I don't know.
You know that you have one. I don't know what it does, but congratulations all the same.
Good, because I didn't have a clue before. So I have one now. I would like to use potentially street and exploration. Awesome.
Those both sound like they make a lot of sense to me. Exploration in particular sounds right on the money.
I'm gonna be rolling 5 dice then.
All right.
So I'm just looking up weak spot, what that does. Basically, it says an advantage that it can be exploited. A weak spot will grant a +1 to a single roll or gives you a chance to attempt a flashy maneuver to your advantage. So I'm assuming a clue is going to give something similar.
Yeah, probably. So you can roll an extra die, Nathan. We'll just handle it that way. Like I said, most of the benefits seem to kind of work that way.
All right.
Adjudication.
I got a critical success, I believe. I got 3 matches.
3?
And then
yep.
I also got a separate success.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you got a critical success and a basic success.
Yes.
So that means you can apply your critical success towards finding your way through the maze, which is what was necessary to navigate it. And then you can also cash in your extra basic success for some additional benefit. Everybody already has their stress reduced. Nobody has a condition currently, right? I don't think so. Okay. So, successes. Well, I'll figure it out. What you have in addition to that. But there is a bonus. So you describe to me how you eventually navigate your way out of this glass mirror maze.
I think that eventually I think that Ronan seems like he's lost. And maybe we even got lost for a moment and we were wandering in circles. But I think that Ronan starts to, as we're passing through this mirror maze of ornaments, I think Ronan's kind of calms himself and starts to remember the different travelers he's talked to that's been through here, different stories he's heard. Um, and there's scratches on each and every one of these panels of broken ornaments. And to most people, they just look like just wear and tear and scratches. But Ronan sees through that and sees the pattern, and there's markings, even if they've been covered up. They're not necessarily intentionally hidden, but there's markings that someone or multiple people have left as like a trail through here. And he sees past the other wear and tear and sees those old markings from long ago, and starts to follow those to get through and get out of here.
And just about the time that you find that last turn, that last bend in the ornaments that let you know that you have made it through. You can feel Mr. Brummell growing kind of further and further agitated. And he kind of makes his way up the line towards just behind you, Ronan. He says, I don't wish to cast any doubt on your abilities, but do you think that we'll be able to find our way sometime soon?
Ronan just turns and smiles at him, and even though they were lost and probably everyone knows it, he just simply says, "We were never lost. We were always on the correct path." And that's like
Cool.
when they round the turn out of the ornaments. See?
He sees you kind of indicate the clear path forward, and he says, "Oh, like I said, I never doubted you, not for a moment, Mr. Flynn. Good show." He kind of claps you on the shoulder.
And I think at this point, Ronan realizes that he hasn't looked up and paid attention to whatever noises were happening earlier in a while. And as because he's been concentrating on getting out of this maze. And I don't even know if it's happening anymore, but he's going to start concentrating back on that, trying to see if he's hearing that noise or seeing those branches move as they were before.
Yeah, as you kind of turn your attention back to the Yule tree itself kind of looming above you, you see definitely those branches moving again. And you get a very clear indication as to what it is that seems to have kind of taken advantage of your distraction. Above you, in the shadowy, dappled light of the Yule tree, you see the reflected light of the mirror maze behind you, reflected many times over, as you see a large 8-legged spider descending down towards you. And I think that's where we're going to stop for the evening.
Good, because I was about to say, okay, good night, I'm out.
No, I love spiders.
Exactly. Tap, tap, tap.
Ronan just says, "I don't want to panic anyone, but we may have a problem."
I like the idea that it sounds like we're surrounded, but it's just the 8 legs of
Yeah.
a giant spider.
That's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Those trees appear to be moving.
Those aren't
So-
trees.
I should ask, I suppose, and I probably should have asked before I pulled the picture. Is anybody a red light for spiders?
No,
No,
I'm not even a yellow light.
No? Okay.
neither am I.
I was kidding.
Okay, good. Being afraid in character is
imagine-
perfectly fine.
I imagine every littling is a red light for spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
probably.
Helen, up, get us out
Dr.
of here.
Meredith is just in the convoy going red light, red light, red light, red light.
Ronan, do something.
Perfect.
Oh man, what a great way when we return for the next episode for Sarah to come back.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Surprise! Spiders!
Surprise, spider.
Yeah,
The
I know
worst
that
kind of
we
spiders.
technically have a little bit of time left, but I don't want to push it. We're already down a player, and we have the holidays right around the corner, so combat can sometimes take a little while. So I
This
think
is a
we'll go
good-
ahead and
Good
handle that.
cliffhanger.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
this is a really
Spot.
good cliffhanger.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. So thank all of you very, very much for playing Act 3 of All the Little Things. Thank everybody for tuning in. I'm going to pass things over to the players so that they can give any kind of parting words they would like to before we're going to call it an evening and a year here at the channel. So we're going to start in reverse order with Nathan.
Thank y'all. I really enjoy this game, and I was sad that we had to cancel last time. I am a very, very solid proponent of make sure you take care of yourself first. Make sure you're okay, because these things can wait. But that doesn't mean I'm not sad and don't miss it when we do have to cancel. So I'm glad we got to play again and get back into it. I know we're still learning the rules and everything to the game, so we stop and ask questions or whatever. But I absolutely love just like the visuals in my head of this game and the picture that we paint together and that Jeremy paints before us. I've said it before. I think I don't see Jeremy as like building a world around someone. I see in my mind when Jeremy starts to describe our surroundings, I see it in my head almost as if this world is just coming up out of the ground around me, like it's being formed just of words around me, and I can see this crumpled carpet. I'm picturing, I said it in our chat, I'm pretty sure my grandma had a rug that looked just like the rug in the picture, so I'm picturing my grandma's rug just like bunched up with all these with the Christmas tree toppled over and all these ornaments and the wooden duck and the raccoon skull and all these different things just scattered across this rug that I'm extremely familiar with, and just this group of just tiny adventurers, just trekking across this. And all of the shows and movies that were mentioned before, like I was a fan of all that stuff when I was a kid too. So it's just, this scratches the itch that I didn't know I had in it, like a role-playing game. So I'm very happy to be part of this. Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you guys for participating and playing. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like I said, I've always really kind of liked this aesthetic, this tiny people in a normal sized world, just kind of putting a completely different perspective. And I think that you touched on something that is so appealing about it, and that is that you can take something familiar. We all know what a Christmas tree looks like. We all know what a fireplace looks like. We all know what mushrooms look like. But to take it into an entirely new context based on scale alone, it just creates a really interesting place to tell stories that feels fresh. It doesn't feel like the kind of story that you felt seen and told over and over and over again. And I think there's a really fun kind of mental exercise that happens when you have to kind of try to think about the mundane in a different context like that. So yeah, I really, really love this setting a lot. And y'all have added some terrific things to it. I really love the artwork of this game. It's very evocative for me. But having some extra stuff kind of thrown in there that isn't necessarily in the artwork really kind of makes it feel so much more grounded, so much more real and kind of lived in. The raccoon skull, like mountain, all of the stuff with the ornaments and all that kind of stuff that I didn't necessarily even have planned. Just yeah, it helps make this such a very fascinating exploration. And I definitely see that this game, for me at least, that's probably one of the strengths of this game is the exploration of it. The exploration and the role-playing probabilities or capabilities are kind of a big draw for me in this game. So yeah, thank you very much for contributing to that and being such a big part of it. Next, speaking of being such a big part of it, Sarah.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I am absolutely loving this. I have to agree with Nathan that the way that you tell the story and the way that you describe everything around us really puts it into perspective for me. Like, as I'm sitting here and I'm trying to imagine all these things, the house that I'm seeing in my noggin is actually the cabin that I went to every summer. And all those senses come back, the smells. I can feel that really gross straw carpet right by the sliding glass door to go outside. And then you have that really old, there are spots that are hard in it rug. And I'm just like, wow, it's weird that that hits me that hard. And I love being in games like this, and I love being able to not only explore the world, but being able to explore all of the role-playing possibilities. And it really helps when you have a really good group like this. I love playing with everybody here. I feel, I say this all the time, I feel very lucky to have the chance to play with everybody here. Y'all are absolutely amazing people, and I love you guys. And this is so much fun. And I am so glad that we're going past 3.
Very much the feeling is mutual, Sarah. Much love. Very happy to have you back on the channel. Yeah, I'm really excited that you signed on for this game, and that you put so much into Rosalind and her story. That's been awesome to have the permission to explore that, and have it be kind of such a central part of kind of what's going on behind the scenes as this adventure is kind of unfolding. So thank you. All right. Speaking of such a large part of the adventure, next up is Karen.
First thing I'm going to say is, called it. Told you we were going to go past 3. Knew it down deep in my heart, because that's going to be the way it was. So happy for that, in fact. Glad that that's a thing. I love this game. I love these people. I love these characters. I love playing. This is amazing. I don't know what to say that hasn't already been said. I look forward to our next time. I love the fact that Sarah has allowed me to dive into her backstory and just join her on that journey with her on it and make it a thing in this game. It's been a lot of fun. A
lot of heartbreak, but it's
lot of
good.
feels right now about it.
Ouchies.
Yeah, it hurts. And I'm glad that the others are being brought into our drama until eventually we just take over the group. So yeah, that'll be it. Can't wait for the next session. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. I know I'm gonna enjoy mine, so thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah, it's always really nice whenever there is inter-party conflict, especially when both sides of that or all sides of that can handle it in a mature way, where there's a buffer between what's happening in character and what is happening as players, because it can lead to some really really good role-playing moments, some really good storytelling, character development type moments and scenes. So I'm very appreciative that the two of you are handling that as much as you are, and making it so crucial to their relationship as sisters. I think that's a lot of fun to explore. So I'm eager to see how that's going to play out in the long run. Yeah, I'm really, really excited with how this story has come out so far. So speaking of really excited so far, last but certainly not least, Jake.
I've said it many times before, and I'm going to go ahead and say it again, that if you haven't yet had an opportunity to play in one of Jeremy's games, you need to answer the call. Jeremy's always putting out open calls on social media and in the MTD Discord, looking for games, looking for players. And Jeremy, you have this like innate ability to assemble tables where the people just fit together. There's always unique combinations, but you just know how to pick the right people from the candidates. And I spend a lot of time behind the DM screen, so to speak. It's my favorite spot to be. But if I'm not behind the DM screen, one of my favorite places to be is at one of your tables. Echoing what everybody said about just the visuals. I still see in my mind specific scenes from various sessions of our Whispers and Fragments campaign that we played for over 2.5 years. I can see the airship crashing. I can see Katya almost almost killing her party, and we spent the next 90 minutes role playing an argument while Jeremy just sat there and watched. Those are the kind of things, just a handful of things you get in a Erasmus game. You paint amazing pictures, leaving just enough room for us to add into, and you encourage the additions, and those additions just become the new thing that we were, a part of what we were already picturing. And yeah, I've never had a bad time at one of your tables. Um, and I don't play in a lot of games because time gets limited, especially when you're running and streaming a lot. But I definitely, well, and I know Jeremy, it was kind of worked out because I think right around the time you got this, I had said in a different game, I had mentioned how the aesthetic of being little people, as a kid, I used to imagine I was the size of a G.I. Joe guy, and I had to get from the downstairs living room to my bedroom, before morning. And that's how I would drift off to sleep. And we were talking about that. And then like a week later, you're like, hey, remember when you talked about that? So I'm glad it worked. And then of course I had to miss the first session. But this has been a great group. I've gotten to play with everybody at this table before, except for Nathan until this game. I believe I don't believe we've played together before in anything.
We have. It was like one shot, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not.
I've watched so many games. I'm not sure if I've watched it or played it.
I know sometimes as a viewer you feel like you're in the game as well, but no, this is the kind of environment where I feel just as comfortable interjecting to say, hey, I'm doing this, or I don't know, you grab pine needles, I'm going to make tea. I feel just as comfortable doing that as I do sitting here for however long it takes for somebody else to play through incredible scenes, like the intense relationship drama going on with Karen and Sarah's characters. So all of that to say, um thanks for letting me play in another one. And yeah.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I appreciate the very kind words, all of you. Thank you. It means a ton to me that all of you feel that way. That you feel like you're getting that kind of an experience playing in these games. It means the world to me. Because I have a lot of fun running these games, and obviously a large part of that enjoyment comes from how well it's being received. So that's fantastic to hear. It does my heart good. I love telling these kinds of stories, and especially with my good friends. And I'm very, very happy that we were able to put this group together in particular, and that the chemistry has been so good. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to get back to this after the new year and see what should be the finale of this game. Should be
Six
Um,
episodes in a movie.
there will be lunch boxes next year. No, I'm kidding.
I like Jake's idea.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to finish this story. I think that there's still a lot of surprises left, I hope. And next time we'll fight a big scary ass spider to kick things off. So thank all of you very much for being just incredibly kind people on top of such wonderful players. It makes my job infinitely easier whenever not only do I know that I can lean on you whenever I need scenes for you to act through and improvise, but also just the fact that I get to spend time hanging out with fun, cool people that I get along with. It's always one of the best parts of doing what I do. So thank you. Speaking of cool people, if you happen to watch this video, thank you very much for tuning in. Whether you watched live with us this evening or whether you are watching at some point down the road and it's already 2024 or beyond, it means a ton to me that you stop by the channel and that you spend a little bit of time with us. So do all the things that YouTube likes to see. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the link around, talk to your friends about it, talk about household. If it's something that's interesting to you, track it down. Go to the website. I think it's in the description of the video. Go check it out. Get the PDF. Run it for your friends. It's a really fun game. It's very interesting. It's made by a really cool little company called Two Little Mice. Yeah. What else? Yes. The holidays are right around the corner as of the airing of this game. So I hope that you have a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, however it is that you celebrate. Or if you're not celebrating, then that's okay too. And I hope that you have a restful rest of the year. And the new year brings good things. We need good things for everybody. So hopefully 2024 is a good year. Remember that kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to people. And the world is a trying place, especially right now. So if you have something, kindness, that costs you absolutely nothing to give to someone else, and it could make an absolute difference to them, why not? It is the season for giving, and it's a free gift that you can give to someone that costs you nothing to give away. So go out there, be kind. I think that's everything that I got to say. So we'll be back after the new year with more fantastic games on the channel. So this is going to be me signing off for 2023. Until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.